above the political fray.
Chief State.
I welcome all of those who have changed their minds about this critical issue. Because in order to move forward and get on with the vital work that Dr. Cass recommends, we need more people to face up to the truth, no matter how uncomfortable that makes them feel.
Victoria Atkins absolutely put Wes Streeting in his place yesterday and just really highlighted how horrendous and damaging this woke trans ideology really is. It's had a horrendous damaging impact on our children. It's not the nice, kind and inclusive thing that they make it out to be.
And so I say to the honourable gentleman opposite me, I hope he has the humility to understand that the ideology he and his colleagues espoused was part of the problem. He talks about the culture and the toxicity of the debate. Does he understand the hurt that he caused to people when he told them to just get over it? Does he know that when he and his friends on the left spent the last decade crying culture wars where legitimate concerns were raised, an atmosphere of intimidation was created and had the impact on the workforce that he has rightly described? They were scared or worried to go into it.
So this is absolutely right, is that we had this culture of intimidation where anybody that spoke out about this gender madness was seen as some evil, transphobic, far-right bigot, when actually they were trying to just point out the damage that the Cass review has now clearly shown is evidently true. This culture needs to change.
We now have the good grace to apologise to those who have been maligned in public life, including his own female colleagues, and for the chilling effect that this has had on clinicians, journalists and campaigners who are trying to raise the alarm. I say this because I want to believe the honourable gentleman when he says he has turned a corner on this. We now have to start with a new page for the sake not just of the children and young people that we are looking after, but also for the sakes of their families, many of whom will be watching this, living with the consequences of this ideology and this secrecy, wondering how on earth the honourable gentleman is talking about general elections, when for them, every single day, every single minute that their children have to live with the treatment they have dealt with, it will never, ever be reversed.
That's the thing, never ever reversed. It is the case for many, many people. We were told this lie that puberty blockers, for example, they're just a pause button, they just buy us time to think about what you want to do with your body. But it is complete and utter rubbish. The doctors failed as in their requirement to be honest with patients about what the potential consequences of a drug are. They completely failed. They brushed over any potential side effects. You have these drugs often making you infertile for life. That's just one example of many, many things that can go wrong. It's absolutely horrifying what we did to kids. We experimented on children. And so, I want to hope, as Victoria Atkins is saying here, she wants to believe Wes Streeting that he will take this as seriously as it needs to be and make sure that the appropriate changes are implemented. But that's a change not just to the NHS but to the culture. She spoke about this culture of intimidation, and it is absolutely terrifying. You've got people losing their jobs in various different places for saying that they think that gender ideology is damaging on children, for them saying that they think that there are only two genders, for them saying trans women are not women, and various things like that. It's a really scary culture that has developed, and we won't be able to have proper debates about the potential harmful consequences of this ideology if you're kicked out of your job for doing so. So some really, really good points there. It will be interesting to see what Labour does when they are in office, because we initially saw them being very, very pro-trans, but then Keir Flip-Flop Starmer, who is willing to change his tone according to what he thinks it will do to the polls, he then very quickly and quietly watered down a lot of his policies on gender to make them more palatable to your reasonable rational member of the public, rather than just catering to one small, very woke, very left-wing crowd. So it will be interesting to see if the Cass review changes the tone of the Labour Party, means that when they're actually in office, they don't go along with this woke gender rubbish anymore. I hope that that is the case, because I don't want to see any of the, regardless of who is in power, I don't want to see this horrendous damage done to children anymore.